Hi, everybody. I'm Sandra Harser, distributor, Bright Ideas here in Toronto. I'm here to introduce our next, or our first speaker of the day, a lady who wears a tremendous amount of hats. I'd like to introduce Jae Rang, MAS. She's the past president of the PPAC Ontario chapter, the past chair of the PPPC National Board, a PPPC Hall of Fame inductee, humanitarian award recipient of the PPPC Ontario Chapter Award of Excellence for Long-Standing Dedication, chair of the PPPC Scholarship Committee, winner of 9 Image Awards and 1 Pyramid Award, a thought leader and author of the best-selling book Sensory Media, Discover the Way to Anchor Your Brand and Be Memorable, 50 Simple Ways to Increase Brand Visibility, and the AHA Moment Journal. Jae is a certified speaker, having presented to a variety of audiences in North America for over 20 years on her 2 areas of expertise, promotional marketing and self-development. Jae is people-focused, results-oriented, and community-spirited. So please help me welcome Jae Rang.
And you know what they say, sitting is the new smoking, so we don't want to be sitting. So if you just stand up and just kind of wave your arms for a little bit, I just want to kind of get your circulation going, make sure that you're still awake. Yes, yes, okay, awesome, give somebody a hug, I even like that better. Okay, all right. Marvelous. Okay, let's get this party started here. Was that an awesome session beforehand? Yeah. That was amazing, wasn't it? Don't you love hearing where our industry is going? I do. I think it's fantastic. Okay, we're going to talk about a couple things together. The reason that I named this Step into the Spotlight is because we're going to talk about leveraging time. We're going to talk about leveraging time together. You can spend time, you can waste time, you can invest time, but we don't often think about leveraging time. What we want to be thinking about is every time that we go to do a project, is that Image Award, Pyramid Award worthy? So we want to slow that process down a little bit. What happens? Who believes that time is money? Time, money? If you're higher up in the company, you got a stake in the company, are you going to think time is money? You're going to be looking at every aspect of it, right? Absolutely. I'm going to suggest that time is even worth more than money, and here's why. There's lots of opportunity to make money out there. Lots. You can leverage yourself, you can get other income, you can invest, you can go into other industries, other businesses to complement your income, you could be seeing more customers. There's lots of ways that you could earn more money, right? Can you get more time? Nope, we all get the same 24 hours in a day, right? So what we want to make sure that we're leveraging that time and maximizing our money. Now what I noticed in this industry, and I think you'll agree with me, is we are unbelievably creative, right? We are bursting. We are at shows, we're in product development, we've got catalogs, we've got internet, we've got one another to brainstorm with. We're seeing products and case histories constantly. There's constant information, emails. I look at my emails. Unfortunately, a lot of anything that is mass sent, that isn't sent personally, goes into clutter. So I don't see that. I have to go into clutter and actually scoop those emails up. But there's at least 100 a day of really cool product ideas coming. There's so much information out there. And what happens is when we get to a customer and they say, we're looking to do this, because we've got so much knowledge and so much information and we're so creative, we get so excited and we jump in with solutions, right? So we're going to do 2 exercises today. Your handout is on the table and it's turned face down. And the reason it is, we're going to use the blank side first. So if you can grab your handout and get the blank side facing you and get a writing instrument, we're going to do 2 exercises. One you're going to do on your own. It's going to take 60 seconds. And the next one we're going to do together. So I'm going to encourage anybody who's sitting at a table by themselves, I'm going to encourage you when we go to do the second exercise to get a little team so that you're having exchange. This is the power of partnerships. We want to be able to be talking with one another. Okay, let me get my timer here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a brief case history. And then in 60 seconds, I want you to write down Spelling doesn't matter, penmanship doesn't matter. I want you to write down as many ideas as you can come up with that would suit this case history. Okay? Here's the case history. A high-end pet food distribution company is attending a trade show, and they need something cool to give out that show. Okay, ready? Okay, 60 seconds, go. 5, 4, 3, 2. All right, how do we do? How many people got 3 ideas? 3? Cool. How many people got 4? 5? Yes? More? Who got more? Really? How many did you get? 7. 7? Do we have 7? Do I hear 8? Okay, 7? Is 7 our top number? Yes? Okay, you're going to be glad you're sitting at this table. All right, you get to share. Okay, how easy was that to do? Pretty easy. All we needed was a little bit of information that we've got a high-end pet food distribution company. They're going to a trade show. They need some ideas. And boom, we come up because we're so full. We get so excited, right, that we jump and we run with it. So what I want to suggest is that we slow that process down. Here's the reason. Whether you're a supplier or distributor, when you get a little bit of information and you run with something, tell me if this has happened to you. You get a really cool idea like, oh, we should be doing poopy bags. That'd be so awesome. Everybody needs them. Every pet owner needs them. And you go to your suppliers and you get your quotes and you do mock-ups and you do the presentation and then you go and present it. And then they say, oh, we've already got those donated. We don't need them. And what's happened? Can you get the time back? Did you get paid for your time? No, we missed the mark, right? So what we want to do is we want to slow that process down a little bit, and here's where we start leveraging time. We start to build rapport by listening. This is the hardest thing for us to do in our industry, and believe me, when I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself. We do this every day that somebody calls and we start to brainstorm. We get so excited about some of the things that we've seen that we want to apply to this customer, and we have to slow the process down and start to ask specific questions. And the questions I call purpose questions are not how many, what color, you know, those things will come later once we figure it out. But the reason we want to slow down is because we value our time. If your time was worth $1,000 an hour, how often would you waste it? Not very often, right? We want to value our time, our supplier's time, our distributor's time, our multi-line rep's time. Everybody's time is valuable. So if we can work together, we want to grasp a really clear picture before we start recommending. We want to dip our toes in that consulting water, provide a strategic solution, and potentially uncover more opportunities. As we ask some questions about this trade show from this high-end pet food distributor, we might also find some other things going on that might be opportunities to fill in some blanks for them. So on your handout, if you flip your handout over, you'll see some of the purpose questions. So we're going to go through some of the answers to these questions, because these will come into this partnership exercise you're going to do next at your table. So I'm going to go through them because I know they're all on the screen at one time. Is the show date important? Yes. Of course. Did anybody come up with an idea that was something that had to be made offshore that they thought was really cool but would take a little bit of time? Yes, for sure. Because sometimes you get a really creative idea and you go, oh, I think this would be so cool to put together. But then we find out that the show date is November 7th and 8th and we know we don't have time, right? So we don't want to spend time on something like that. What's the budget? In this case, the budget is $110,000 for the whole project. So customers won't always give that information to you, but there's ways that you can kind of chunk that down a little bit and understand how much was the entrance fee to the show maybe. And then you can figure out travel, staff, that kind of thing. We know it's a 2-day show. They're saying promo products are going to spend $5,000. If somebody gives you a budget, how hung up are you on that number? Is it gospel? You know that we buy emotionally and we justify logically, right? You've heard that before. So when we know that we buy emotionally, if you can come up with a really cool solution, I will guarantee that they will find money from somewhere, another department, another budget. So let's use that as a little bit of a guideline, but not a hard and fast number. Where is the event? In this case, this event is in San Francisco. It's a Canadian company, but they're holding it in San Francisco. Why would that be important? Does anybody do anything crossing the border? Yes? How important is that, right? You need to know where it's going to be so that you can either choose, if it's an aggressive deadline, that you can choose a factory that's close or something that's border friendly. We work in 6 countries, mostly the islands, and we've become really good at crossing the border and really good at locating people that work in specific areas for that reason, that we don't get in trouble, especially when it's a deadline. Have they done the show before? In this case, yes, they did. It's a great question because sometimes we come up with really, really cool ideas, we present it, and then they say, oh, we've already done that. The next question, of course, how did it work, right? But we want to know a little bit more about the show, and we say, you know, can you elaborate? And they said, we weren't very well prepared. We kind of had crappy booth space last time. We didn't know who to expect to be there, and nothing happened. This time, they're smart. They're conducting experiential marketing campaigns. Has anybody been involved in any of those campaigns before? Do you work with any agencies or anything that does experiential marketing where they go into a watering hole and they sample or they have a game or something? So in this case, they're doing experiential marketing campaigns so that they can sample the consumer on their product and drive traffic to specific retailers. That's why they're at the show. Is that crucial information? I think so. Okay, so how many people? They said that there's 1,000 people registered. 2-day show, if you do the math, if 1,000 people came by the booth, that would mean they would spend less than a minute with each of those people. Is that enough time to talk about what you're doing? Not really, right? Do we need to maybe help them understand there's 1,000 people that are going to be there, but who is your client? Who do you actually want to talk to? Are there specific retail partners? And they say, well, the people who are attending are buyers, but some of them are national chains, some of them are local. They want to, when we ask our questions, they want to increase their market in California. So is somebody in Utah at that show important to them? Probably not, right? So what's their core message? How many people ask a core message if they're talking about an event or a show? How many suppliers here, when you're doing a show, have one core message, one core theme that they're talking about during that show? See, our industry is so big and so massive, and we have so many things to say, but this is a whole other workshop. But trade show 101, you have 6 seconds to capture somebody's attention. Can you talk about everything during that 6 seconds? Not at all, right? So we want to have a core message. So their core message is, we're one-stop shop for high-end brands. We have the data to know what today's consumer wants. So when they go to this show, they're not sampling product. They're talking to buyers, and they're presenting a business case. So they want the buyers to understand that they have the solution to create profit for them and to create traffic in their stores. We ask about values. There's a reason for values. That if a customer's value is quality, and you see a product that may not align with their brand, can we be bold enough to recommend that that might not suit them? I think so, right? We're the experts. So in this case, their values are partnership, quality, and relevance. They're relevant to the consumer. They have a partnership mindset that they want to work with their retail partners. And of course, quality. They're a high-end pet food distributor. Do they have a charitable partner? How many people in the room have a charitable partner that they work with, a cause that they work with? Great. So That's important to your business, isn't it? To be able to talk about why you're in business. It's more, they say people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. So when you align with a charitable partner, you have an opportunity to share a little bit more information about why you're doing what you're doing and what it means, right? We have a local, a national, and international. Our national is the PPPC scholarship program. So I donate a scholarship every year. That gives us great opportunity to talk about the scholarship program, but also to say, here's what we're doing to grow our industry and to grow talent. We're supporting them. In this case, they don't have a charitable partner. How many people work, either do trade shows or work with clients that do trade shows? Yes? Wonderful. When we work with people doing trade shows, we look for PR opportunities and we look for sponsorship opportunities. If they don't have a charitable partner and their goal is to get market share in California, could we suggest that there might be a good charitable partner in California that might give them some leveraging opportunities, maybe a check presentation at their booth, something to create a little bit of buzz, maybe some media releases in the area? There's some really cool things we can do, right? When they don't have a partner, we can suggest a partner because we know how to help them leverage that. So their goal, 30% of market share in California by the end of 2020. Sounds pretty aggressive, but I'm sure they can give you some numbers on that. The last question is really the question that I love to ask, and it's, why are you doing this? And when I ask customers this, sometimes they're really stunned. It's like, what do you mean, why am I doing this? I'm doing this because we're supposed to be there. I'm doing this, that's our industry show. If, depending on who you're talking to, if it's a coordinator or an administrator, then, that's their job. So they're doing it because that's their job. If it's when you go higher up and you get into somebody who's got a stake in the company, then you kind of drill down a little bit more. What's the life's blood of any organization? What does any organization need to survive? Sales, even more. Money, profit, profit. Every organization, even not-for-profits, need profit. We have to have profit to survive. So when you start asking the questions, if they say, well, that's our industry conference, or we just need to be there, at the end of the day, this is an investment for them. They need to make sales. So we want to uncover, how is it that we're going to help them make sales? The big reason is we want to be invited back. We want to create this Image Award program by asking pertinent questions. Does it take a long time to ask these questions? Not really, right? You can do maybe a few questions in 5 minutes and just kind of have a nice, you don't have to go through a formal process, but just having a dialogue with them. These are a few questions. There's lots of questions that you can ask as you start and take an interest in what they're doing to build rapport and build that program. Okay, so what we're going to do is at your table, we're going to take a few minutes to get together. And at your table, knowing what you know, we want you to pick a product, hopefully from a supplier at your table, and come up with another product and distribution idea for this show. Can you do that together? Yes? If anybody's sitting on their own, as I said, I'm going to suggest that you move over. So do you have I'll put the answers to the questions back on the screen so that you can see them if you haven't written them down. Knowing what you know now what would you suggest for this high-end pet food distributor to use at their show, and why? Because they're at a show talking to potential retail partners, they are doing separate experiential marketing campaigns with consumers, so consumers fall in love with the product and ask for it at the retail partners' locations. So they're supporting the retailers. So when they go to do their show, they're saying, in support of our business together, here's what we're doing to generate traffic to your store. Make sense? Okay. Okay, how was that? Interesting? Nice when you have suppliers and distributors talking together, right? That you get different input and different energies and different ideas. Did it help having some of the answers to the question? Did you come up with something different than initially, some of your ideas? Yeah. Okay, Laura, do you want to share any ahas at your table?
We had a creative table. Well, of course, we're with Heidi from Botanical Paperworks, so we came up with seeded paper, of course, for our gift or giveaway at the booth. And then Jamie had the brilliant idea of possibly putting in catnip seeds, or so the seeded paper could be something they could grow that is good for their pet. So there's also Timothy hay that gerbils and rabbits eat. So it could be different seeds that are suitable for pets. We also thought for the charity there's room on the seeded paper to put their charity that they're going to be donating a percentage of their profits to. So it could be the SPCA or Wildlife Protection Agency Society in that area. And and then also we thought that the seeded paper could be die cut into paw prints or different animal shapes, because people love to choose their favorite pet shape.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Yay. That was awesome. That was great. That was so cool. And the fact that, when you have only one core message that you're handing out, when you have a small product like that, you can have one statement on there, and that's all you need to do, and it matches with the banners, and it matches with your emails, and everything else, right? It's easier to do. And do you think that California, the buyers in California are happy that the company is investing locally? Absolutely. One of our biggest markets is in Bermuda, and we do charitable runs and walks and all kinds of stuff there to give back to their community, in addition to dropping a little bit of money in the economy when we go to visit. But they appreciate that. They know that we have a vested interest and we understand their market. So yeah, we want to see that. Who else came up with something different? Yes? Thanks, Ken.
I'm Ken Dumont with Jae M Rang. We went a little bit different. We looked at the parameters that were given and the $5,000 budget with 1,000 attendees, but we really know we're not going to capture 1,000 attendees in our booth. So we went to a $10 to $15 budget, thinking we're going to get maybe 30 to 40% of the people. We looked at some of the things that were right on our table, and this notebook comes to mind, where we can put a dog and a cat right on the front. The tip-in pages are great for telling our story, for giving information about our company. And we looked at drinkware, things that are going to stay on the table, things that they're going to covet, things that that buyer is going to want to receive, because they're going to get a lot of small $1, $2, $5 items. But if you want to really draw them in your booth, we thought, let's go a little bit more, and let's target those people who are actually spending 3 or 4 or 5 minutes in our booth, as opposed to just coming in for that quick handout. So that's where we went with that.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Yay. That was awesome. Okay, a couple things. The reason I love that, we do a lot of the notebooks with tip-in pages, and I agree with you, because promotional products are your brand talking when you're not there, right? That quality, the value, the partnerships, all of the values are in that book. So when they receive it, as you said, it might be a thank you for stopping by the booth and have a nice conversation. It might be something in advance that they can email to potential partners and say, come by our booth, we have a special gift for you, and then they hand it to them, and here's some information. We know you don't have time to read it now, but we know this is important and we'll follow up with you, right? Great tool, super, awesome. Anybody else come up with something that was different from their first suggestion that they want to share? Yes? Yes?
I keep being volunteering for
voluntold, I think it is, yes.
Okay, so we thought, of course, of the notebooks, but it's all good. But the other idea we had was actually measuring cups for food, because overweight animals are everywhere these days, because we tend to feed our pets a little too much and love them too much. So I was told, because I have an obese dog, so measuring cups for food with inside the different measures for the different size of animals, so that they could keep it, but it will also give them an idea of in-store gifts with their products in the future.
Fabulous, fabulous. And can you see a lot of potential taglines that align with measuring cups? Really? Yes, that's fantastic. Good for you. Terrific. So, yes? It's been great. Of course, of course.
I can't say no to Mike. So we looked at it a bit differently. Because this isn't a B2C, it's B2B, we thought doing an on-pack with actual pet food.
Okay.
So doing a bag, branded obviously, because that's what we do, and you do a small sample of the food with the benefits of the food, and then on the back what your social cause that you're doing. In this case we would do guide dogs, and then what we would do is put it with Attractables. It's a product that I make, which is a peer-to-peer lost and found system, but we would make them as pet collars, so that every time you could do an in-store redeemable, so you're adding value to the product that you're doing. So you'd make coupons that then the buyers could give to the stores, and then they could redeem them for these little pet collars. So you're giving them an example of it. This way the dogs can be tracked if they're lost, and then kind of make yourself look even better because you're socially caring about the pet and not just the fact that you're feeding them.
Fabulous, fabulous, great approach. Terrific. You guys are so creative, right? It's amazing. I love this industry. How many people have been in the industry more than 20 years? Fantastic. And do you still, when you see a really cool product, you still go, oh my God, that's so cool? Yeah, we do, right? When for the show, we did little screen cloths that were in the shape of a t-shirt, and we have this tropical theme going on, and it had our invitation on it, and we mailed them to our local customers, and when they came in, we did the same thing. It's like, oh my God, so cool. Like the industry's so fun, right? We're so creative. So what's your aha today? What's your aha? What was different from the first exercise of having a little bit of information and writing down a whole bunch of things to the second exercise when you had more information and you had a chance to collaborate? What's the aha there? I like microphones so you're captured.
You have to slow down and ask more questions.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We have to slow down. We have to slow down. We talked about leveraging time, right? So here's how we leverage time. Is we slow the process down. If we come up with a whole bunch of ideas ahead of time and they don't fly, they don't make sense, they don't work, or worse, they take your ideas and where do they go? Somebody else, they do it themselves, or they don't do it, and then afterwards you find out, that's happened, right? Not just me? Okay, good. So when we slow the process down, we have a little bit more information. Yes, people love it when we sit there and we start to brainstorm with them. That's really exciting, but when we slow the process and we come back with a solution, not only is it more valuable, because you're going to be invited back because you're creating a solution, this is also worthy of charging. We start our programs at $1,500 to create a strategy. They're huge value. We offer a lot within that $1,500 and up program. If you want me at the table, it's $280 US to brainstorm. I don't do pick your brain sessions anymore. And people pay for it because we know the questions, we've got the expertise. We have so many people to leverage in our industry. Look at how friendly our industry is. Yet when I see the PPAI feed from the distributors, I don't know if you're on the feed, the questions that come through, it's really cool actually. And somebody will come through and say, we're working with a team of lawyers, what should we give out? And it populates like crazy with people coming up with really great ideas that a legal team would use. And I think the people on the network probably hate me because I'll go back and I'll say, I don't have enough information to give you a suggestion. And it stops them to think, oh gosh, all I've told you is I'm dealing with lawyers. I don't know the context. I don't know what they want to spend. I don't know who they're giving what to. But when we ask those questions, we can come up with a quality solution that'll have you invited back and give you something that actually is of value, right? So many times people will say when they go to a seminar, they go to a conference, they say, I just want to pick up one thing. Did you pick up one thing today? One thing? Yes? Okay, at the bottom of it, bottom of your handout sheet, it says the one thing that I promise I'll do differently is. I want you to quickly write down what that one thing is, and then I'll tell you why you're signing it as a promise. If your spouse said to you, or let me rephrase this, what would you rather hear from your spouse? I will try and be faithful, or I promise to be faithful? So many times we pick up something and we go, oh, I'm going to try and do that. But if we make a promise to ourselves, it's different. When we promise, we come up with something and we promise it and we sign off on it. We're making a commitment to ourselves to do it. You invested a lot to come to education session and the show. I know you want to walk away with something. If there's one thing that you learned today, write it down, make a promise, and go get it. Are we good? Any questions? Any closing comments? No? We're good? All right. Give yourself a standing ovation because you were awesome. Yay!